Okay, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me all well, and good afternoon to all of you. It's a real pleasure to be here with you today and to see so many people, so many teachers and practitioners who are really ready to change the food system and who are very passionate about this topic. So it's really great to be here. And thank you very much to the organizers for inviting me to be here with you today and to be able to share my perspective as a researcher on this very question: how can we become responsible food consumers? So today, actually, I'd like to present to you the nutritional footprint calculator. Actually, over the past 2 years, we've worked with my colleagues at Charles University Environment Center here in Prague. And we were trying to put together information from environmental science on footprinting, on how to measure the footprint of meals, but also put that together with information on the nutritional value of meals, and also with information from sociology on how we actually learn when using interactive tools. So I work here in Prague, and my expertise is in environmental impact assessment, and also I'm focusing on education for sustainable development. So these are the two things that I'm trying to link together, and that's why I'm here today to present you on this presentation. So when we're thinking about how we can make change, because I'm a researcher, I'm a trained researcher, I'm thinking, what can I do to make change, of course? And I'll start with a quote by Nelson Mandela, who said that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I would say it's also the only one that will not harm anyone. And so I really believe that education is one of the key areas where we really need to work hard. And so I think that we really need to use research facts to educate consumers, really scientific-based evidence. But also to work with you, teachers and practitioners, who educate also future consumers, of course, because I think we really need to learn from the very beginning, from where we are very little up to when we are a bit older. And I also do believe that modern technologies can be used for developing new educational tools to make it a bit easier for people who like to play with their phones, because almost everyone has a phone these days, a smartphone usually, to bring the information a bit closer to them and to hopefully change behavior also in the end. So I'm really excited to be presenting to you the nutritional footprint calculator because it's getting online today, so you will be able to check it out from today. It's actually a web application which calculates at the same time environmental impact of meals and also the nutritional value of the meals. It is integrating knowledge from various disciplines and various stakeholders, as I already mentioned. We were drawing on information from natural sciences, environmental impact assessment, nutritional science, but also social sciences, and we also tried to discuss with the academic community in the Czech Republic, but also with people from NGOs, and also, for example, from the Ministry of Environment, who were very much interested in this in terms of education, environmental education and education for sustainable development, to promote this with the general public in the Czech Republic. So that was really nice cooperation. It is launching today. Bit closer? Can you hear me better now? Okay, good. So it's actually in Czech language only so far, but we are hoping to get some funding to also make it into more languages. So if you wait a little bit, hopefully we will have it in English as well. But for now, it's in Czech. So today I'm actually showing it as an example of collaboration and what can come out of collaboration of researchers with teachers from different disciplines. So take it as an inspiration if you can't quite read all the Czech words. And I won't spend too much time on the calculator itself. So I mentioned that we worked with teachers to develop this. This is an example, a photo from actually a Menu for Change workshop, which happened just over here in October, when we were testing the calculator and how it works and whether it could be used in a learning environment. So thank you to everyone again who participated in this. Maybe someone's in the room who took part, maybe not, but thanks to all who actually contributed to make this happen. So you might be wondering, what is nutritional footprint? You might have heard of water footprint, ecological footprint. There are very many different footprints, and now I'm talking about nutritional footprint. So just to give you a brief information about what that actually is. It is a measure of environmental impact per one portion of a meal. It is a concept that came from Germany, and within our research we adjusted it for our application to suit the needs of the application of the users. So there is one overall impact, one score, which is on a scale from 1 to 5. In Czech schools, we have 1 the best mark, 5 the worst mark, so it's similar to the Czech grading at school, lowest to highest impact. And it's actually based on 5 environmental issues, and this is climate change, acidification, eutrophication, that means the amount of pollution or of water, or in other words, how much nitrogen or phosphorus is in the water, land use, and water depletion. And all of these 5 issues are then scaled and then calculated into one overall impact per one portion of a meal, so that a consumer can see one meal and compare it with another one and compare it with just one number. So as an example, this would be very low impact, medium, high, and very high. So each of the meals then gets one of these rankings. And we also have colors so that it's easier for people to understand that green is better and then red is a little bit worse impact. And this is what we used in the calculator. This is how it looks like. So you have on the first page the meals. So you have a photo and there is the name of the recipe, and then you have the nutritional footprint. So you can see that, for example, couscous with zucchini and some cheese has a low environmental impact, as opposed to a typical Czech meal, which would be goulash with dumplings. Maybe some of you have tasted it. It tastes nice. I also like it. And we're not saying that you shouldn't be eating it at all, but maybe you should be thinking about how often you eat it. Maybe eating it once a week is not such a good idea for the environment, but when you click on these, you will also get nutritional information with regards to energy, fat content, and also sugar and salt. So actually, when you click on these, you will get much more detailed information if you're interested. And there are some recipes that are already calculated, and you find it here, but there is also the calculator where you can enter your own recipe, and it will calculate it for your own recipe. I will not go into the detail, because we don't have that much time, but I will tell you where you can find it, where you can try it out. So this is the Czech website. It's fully functional Czech version of the app. We also have an English Nutri Footprint EU link, but there, for now you will find basic information about the app in English. But hopefully in the future we would have also what we have in Czech in there. I'd like to thank the funders, of course, without them it would not be possible to do this work. And I'd just like to invite you to check it out in your own pace. It will work on your desktop computer, on your laptop, on your tablet, and on your smartphone. So it's optimized so that it works on all these. But you do need internet connection, so that you can play with it without any problems. So I'd like to really thank you for your attention. And I do believe that we need to use research facts for interactive learning to really change how consumers think about what they eat and hopefully to also change their behavior in eating. So thanks again, and I'm really looking forward to the following discussion.
Thank you very much, Dana. I think it will be really interesting to test what would be the recipe of today and how would it actually rate. So, but we could think about it.
Okay.
And I will invite then Gisela to join us. She will also explain how consumers can engage into rethinking their consumption. And do you want to show? She will explain the initiative that she has been put up in Catalonia.
Hi. I'm not so sure. Now better? Yeah, I think so. Thank you to the organizers to invite me here. As said, I'm from Catalonia. Just wanted to show you on the map where it is. So we are at the western side of the Mediterranean. Good climate, a lot of sun, but it is also a very industrialized area. So to be a farmer there is hard work. There are hardly no lands to cultivate, and they are very expensive. And to be a consumer, wanting to consume local produce is also a challenge. But in my case, I am both things, of course, like a lot of people are. I'm a producer and I'm a consumer. I'm a vegetable gardener. As explained, I work with the philosophy of permaculture, with the approach of permaculture, and I also practice some techniques like no digging, the idea of not plowing and not plowing the soil. I also work with, as explained, with as much perennial vegetables as possible. I have a forest garden or a food forest. I don't want to explain more about my project because, in fact, well, the name of my project is this one. This is the name of my project, Phenicurus. By the way, it's the name of this little bird you see here. This is a project I have with my colleague. His name is Mark, so we are two of us. But in this small-scale project, it's really small scale. We are hardly half a hectare. But with our half a hectare, we tried to feed as much people as possible. No? And some years ago, apart from having our vegetable garden, we created, together with other families, a consumers cooperative or consumers group called Cardadeu Autossuficient. And the idea of this consumers cooperative is what I wanted to share with you. I was asked to share with you this concept of ethical consumption or a different way of consumption. Because the main idea I wanted to transmit you is that if we, during all these workshops before, we have seen how important it is to have a respectful agriculture, a respectful model of agriculture. In order to have this, we have to change our habits as consumers. We have to make possible for farmers to make the change, to go to this other type of agriculture. And it's when our role as consumers appears. To be a little bit provocative, I would say that we are considered by society nowadays, mainly we are not considered anymore like humans, we are considered consumers. So being just a number, a consumer, when I want to exert my power in this society is when I choose to consume one thing and not another. Most of us used or still do to buy in supermarkets. It's an easy thing to do, it's convenient, but it has some consequences. I cannot talk about the global consequences. There are other people here more documented than me to talk about it. I just talk about the consequence, for example, in agriculture, and in particular in market gardening. That is my subject, no? You can wonder if it is really difficult. Is it really difficult to buy from somewhere else that it's not a supermarket? It depends in reality where you live. Every town and every place can have their own possibilities, their organization ways, but in the end maybe it's not so difficult to get a handful of families, a little group of families, and to start something like buying directly from the producers, making possible for the producers to cultivate differently. This is what we did in Cartadeu Autosuficient, that's the name of the consumers cooperative. What I'm explaining you now, I suppose that most of you already know, I don't know, probably some of you already know, so it's nothing so extraordinary. But I think maybe you can get some inspiration, who knows, from one idea or another. This consumers cooperative was created in 2010, and our ideal was to all of us be consumers and producers at the same time. This was our ideal. Of course, it was not possible. Not all of us were producing things. But starting to consider it, we finally found that quite a lot of us could be. No? My friend and me, we were producing vegetables, but there was other people that, for example, knew how to do cosmetics from natural producers, and they could offer these cosmetics to the group, or there was someone who made a very good muesli, mixing good produce and get a good muesli, another that was making tofu hamburgers. I don't know, everyone was trying to bring something to the group. And if a lot of people didn't produce anything in particular, what they could give to the group were knowledge, for example. So we created also some workshops just to exchange knowledges. One that knew how to sew would show the others how to sew. There was a workshop about bicycles and how to repair them. Another one about making soap, well, all kinds of things. Even about computers, about how to manage the website, all kinds of things like that. So everybody, the idea is to make all the families feel valuable. But after all, the vegetables were one of the main axes. Maybe the main axe, what brought all the people together. The idea of this cooperative was to buy as local, as organic, and even as small scale as possible. All the consumers cooperatives or all the consumers group have to make a choice, because it's very difficult to have all these things at the same time. Seasonal, local, organic, you have to make a choice. In our case, we prioritized the fact of being really local. So even some products that were produced that were not organic but very small scale and very local were also introduced in our consumers group. And also there was another choice for us, that was the idea of encouraging small business and starting business. Because we wanted to support new people starting organic projects at different levels. This we started in 2010. Now that we have some years behind us, I can tell you that I think we can say that in our town, we were like a little grain that after the years, we can see that it grew a lot and it had some results. Not so much at the level of number of families involved. We are twice the people we were at the beginning. It's not bad, but it's not so much. But we were the grain of a lot of other projects that appear later. When we started in my town, let me tell you that my town, Cardedeu, is 18,000 inhabitants. So it's not a small village and it's not a big city, it's something intermediate. But when we started, we were the only organic producers in the town, in the area of the town. Now there are at least 5 or 6, and I have lost count because there are some small projects appearing now and again, and sometimes disappearing, others remain, but 5 or 6 in the town. Considering that it's a quite urbanized, very urbanized town, where there's not a lot of fields, so 5 or 6 organic projects is a lot for the land that is available. It is also, the cooperative was also the grain of other, even enterprises, small enterprises that appeared around. For example, a school of self-sufficiency. Some people of the group, of the consumers group, created a self-sufficiency school where people can go and learn how to do their own cheese, their own clothes, how to garden, etc. There was also the origin of several organizations. For example, now there is in the town an organization about mobility, trying to encourage people to go walking to the places or to use bicycles. Another group that is called Cardedeu en Transició, that it's a part of Transition Towns, another international movement. And so on, I could keep saying, because in fact we were the grain for a lot of projects. I don't want to take a lot of time, so I was asked to tell you something about our way of gardening. There is also an important thing, apart of no-dig, low use of machinery, it's that we tried to close circles. So it was important for us to grow from our own seeds. We saved our seeds, we grow our own seedlings, we planted it outside, and the next year we took the seeds again. So closing this type of cycle. It can seem very simple, very normal to do. It was normal some generations ago. It's not normal anymore, unfortunately, at least in my country. So the idea of closing circles is very important, and this also makes it possible for us to save heritage seeds, heritage varieties of vegetables that we encourage to use. We are participating to a group of heritage varieties seeds, and this is also very valuable for the consumers, because suddenly consumers discover new tastes that in fact are not new, are old tastes, but they rediscover a huge variety of vegetables that they didn't know before. Even it makes possible for us to have such a range of tastes without needing to import so many exotic plants, which makes it more sustainable, of course. So just finish here. if you any have some question about that, I can keep talking a lot, so you can ask me later. Thank you.
So I invite Dana, Teresa, and Jan to actually join us. So Gisela explained actually she's saving seed, and that will be the topic of her workshop this afternoon. So you will know already where to go if you want to actually learn how to save seeds and keep them for the next season. I will then also ask Jan to present his workshop in a few moments, but then I'd like to rebound on that, because what we had from the presentation here was quite interesting. So on one hand, we have really an opportunity or an invitation to think about what we eat, and to be more consciously choosing, okay, what am I going to be to put in my plate, actually. And I was reflecting with someone over dinner or over lunch that looking at the soup, actually, sometimes you can read the future in a coffee cup. You know, when you drink the end of a coffee, then you would have just what remains from the coffee, and you would read the future of someone in the coffee cup. And I was saying we could read the future of our planet in our soup. You know, if we were to know where the ingredients come from, how they have been produced, actually you can determine a lot how we will manage the earth, whether this soup has been sustainable or not. But so it's about what we eat. It's also how we engage, not only as consumers, but as active citizens, and that we step into a new model of purchasing food, because we may have easy access to supermarkets, easy access to shop, but then we don't know exactly what's happening behind and what's the benefit and who benefits from it, and how long is the value chain behind it. And we can ask these questions and engage with supermarkets. But we also can try to be really grassroots and create some space around us to try to do things differently. So I'd like to maybe offer the floor to Teresa now to see whether you see another way of, we have actually already, let's think about what we eat, let's engage into a new model. What else would you add to the picture, or what would you want to actually insist on?
Yeah, you mean as a recommendation for the consumer. You are, in fact, at the moment, I guess you are even overloaded by the information. You can feel the climate change nearby. You can imagine deforestation behind our meat consumption. So we don't really have a problem of lack of information, even though, and I'm sad about that, information are not really being spread within our society in an objective and free manner. So what I want to say is that I truly believe we can get a very good quality information and we can try to share it with our societies. At the same time, what is then the next step that is really needed is as well to reconsider how are we functioning as a community and as a society, and how much space are we making together for the change to really come into our life and happen. Because I am constantly meeting people from different backgrounds, different groups, who are really longing for doing things differently, for contributing to positive change, for basically living the positive example. And still they come to this conclusion that it's difficult to do when the whole system of our society is oriented in a different way and is basically following, let's say, a different set of values. So my understanding is that we would probably need to take a time as our group, as educators, as citizens, just to reflect on how is it that we engage with each other and how are we really willing to make space for doing things differently in our functioning and everyday life. I have a sense that many people would really appreciate it, and so I hope to see more of these examples around us in the near future.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Maybe then I'd like to ask Gisela, because you engage into a new form of being together in Quart des Deux, in your city, something that didn't happen before. So often we repeat the way we live, our lifestyle evolves with time, but repeats a lot what we have been taught to do or how the family has done it before. And trying to step into a new way of doing can be quite challenging, but also rewarding. Could you explain a little bit how difficult it has been easy or difficult to get people to do something differently than they are used to? And what did it bring to people?
I would like to be very optimistic, but I'm not always. It depends on the day. Some days I look at my group and I say, oh, how fantastic, so nice people doing nice things, and people that got together and participate from this project were people that were already convinced. And the problem is that I find every time that all the activities we do, sometimes we get one more person, two more people that we haven't seen before. But in a town, it's easy to recognize people. So you notice how we are always the same. And there is a kind of barrier that how to arrive to people that are not engaged and will never be. And how to reach these people, It is a difficult question because we have tried a lot of sensibilization activities, but people coming to these activities are already convinced. They don't need it to get convinced. They are already convinced. I don't know how to cross this boundary. I have no answer for that. No.
All right. I don't know, Dana, if you want to complete on that, if you have some thoughts on changing of habits, how easy or difficult it is, and is knowing enough?
I think that knowing is not enough, certainly. You need to have the system around you where you can actually get what you know is right. So even if you know that you should be eating organic vegetables from local sources, if you have nowhere to get those vegetables, of course you'll end up in the nearest supermarket. What I think needs to happen in order to really make big change is to get this much higher in terms of getting people who are influential in society to take this as their own topic and talk about these things. We can, for example, if I look at my institution, Charles University, I don't think there are very many people who would be actually talking about sustainability of the food system. Not the rector, not these people. Of course, this is not, for now, a topic, a big topic for most people. It's not something that the president or the prime minister would be talking about. So I think we really somehow need to get this on the table for also these people who make strategic choices and who are influential in society. And maybe not just these people, it can be an actor. Like for climate change, we have Leonardo DiCaprio, who is a big promoter. So maybe we need someone like this for food systems and so on. So I think that's one thing we should try out maybe.
Okay, so yeah, visibility of the issue and actually higher level demonstration that it's needed to make a move. I'd like to actually turn to you and first of all ask maybe a raise of hand to know if whom in the room here is actually growing food either at school or at home. Like who is growing food, is into growth of food production. So we have, let's say, something like a fifth to a quarter of the room, maybe a third, don't lie. Okay, so yeah, that's actually a nice raise of hand. But that also shows that actually myself, for instance, I'm not now engaged into food production because I'm in the city center of Prague. I have a very small 1 meter, not even 1 meter square meter, that is on the north side. So it's very difficult for me to get things growing there. On the other hand, I'm going to move to a place with a garden and I'm going to go get my first veggies out of the ground then. But from people who have not been growing or who are not growing food at the moment, how many people would be tempted to try to grow food on their own? Who is actually curious to try it out? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like maybe 10 people would be tempted to do it. So maybe I'd like to ask you in general whether you would like to ask a question, but also ask the people who said, I'm tempted to try try, maybe if they could reflect for a second, what would help them to make the move to try out to plant food? Is it that you will need some space, you will need some help, you will need some guidance, you will need some time, you will need some... What would you need? Maybe, if I see you nodding, so what would you need?
Time.
Time. Okay.
Working parents, small children, life is busy.
Time as well? Who would need more time to try out? Who is tempted to do it and would need more time? 2, 3 people. Okay, who would need more kind of guidance, help? Would it help if someone would actually say, let's do it together, for instance? Yeah. What else would you need to, what would help you to actually step into thinking, okay, step into trying out to grow your own food? Are there any other comments? Uma, I see you raising your hand. No? No? No rice production in Wageningen University? Right. I like to, because time is passing, I'd like to offer you the floor to ask questions. So I don't know, Cynthia, if you had a question, I saw you.
I can observation. I agree with Gisela saying that it might be really difficult to get people on board. And I agree with Nada that you have to get the policymakers on board. However, I also wanted to point out, because through this project, we got the opportunity to get children experiencing it, going into the field, and so my observation was getting them young. Like in the future, these little kids who will later become youth and adults, they're going to be more keen to get this going, maybe with, of course, some little help. Also, the ripple effect which this is having on the parents and also on the community. So, a little bit from here and a little bit from there, I think this project has shown us that it's not all doomsday, and we are really seeing the sustainability movement. Let's call it that.
Thank you, Cynthia. And you have a beautiful voice that actually everybody is able to listen to. So I'm very impressed with that. And I think it shows the power that relies in all of us, yeah, that we can take small action that actually, and the more you grow food, Gisela, you were mentioning this, that once you grow food, you gain power. You see that you have competences. You are capable, and it gives you a great feeling to actually get your veggies out of the ground and then on your kitchen table and cook them. So this is actually a very beautiful process. I'd like not to just offer, so we know that Gisela will have a seed workshop this afternoon. Jan, you will also lead a workshop. Could you tell us more about it?
Yeah, I can. So in the beginning there was the question how we can be a better consumer. I think we already agreed on it here that one way is the information, like knowledge or through education. And if I take myself as an example, so today I think that I'm quite responsible consumer. I cannot say that I'm perfect, but if I do something wrong, I can reflect it. And you know, they say if you reflect it, it's half of the victory. But when I was on elementary school or high school, I didn't know like almost one thing about concepts like sustainability or responsibility in terms of food consumption. So what I really missed there was someone who would make me ask questions, who would make me ask like important questions like, hey banana, like where are you from? Banana, you are so fresh, like what kind of makeup you're putting on? Or it's not makeup, maybe some chemicals. Is it good? Yes, no? Why? Why yes? Why no? And that's actually what we are trying in our organization. We are going to schools and we are trying to make students ask questions. Not telling them like what's wrong, what's good, because nobody is like those pretty good advice. But just think critically about things. And with one of our programs, I'm coming here today. We will discuss one of the most pleasant topics, chocolate, in the yellow room. Well, it's a program, we usually do it with the children or students from elementary schools. And so together we will go through a few activities. We will discuss where does the chocolate come from, how it's made, who is involved in the process of production, and so on. I have just one really sad information for you, that we won't eat the chocolate actually. The reason is simple, I haven't brought any, I'm really sorry about it. But I will try to fulfill you with the information. So you are really, I encourage you please to come up there and share your knowledge about chocolate and not just chocolate. Thank you.
So I will follow up with the introduction of the workshops, because as Jan already announced, actually this is a time in this day where we will have workshops as well focused on a method, educational method and methods of global education. So one of these workshops is focused on chocolate. It is bringing big questions, and we have another workshop that is bringing big questions, and that is promising you a really playful, participative experience. So something different than just absorbing information. So I would like to introduce you Olga Daskin, who is a facilitator of a workshop of philosophy for children. So Olga, welcome, and just introduce whatever you wish to.
Okay, thank you. I would like to invite you, and I can also promise that we will a little bit touch the chocolate, but maybe not that much as Jan will. But I can promise that you will taste, enjoy, or experience two short activities to how to bring the questions into the classroom. Maybe you are teaching and you need to know how to a little bit encourage the students to ask the big questions, how to let them think more deeper, how to let them share in public. So maybe you will find the questions in our workshop. First we will experience it, and then we will reflect it step by step. First 21 I will come.
So thank you very much. And the fourth workshop of this round will be facilitated by Aurel and myself, and the offer is to explore together a bit of a system of functioning and system change. Most likely we can as well get in touch with the topics that we introduced here earlier, so all of you who still feel like continuing in exploration are welcome there.
And I won't be leading a workshop, but I will be around until the next coffee break, I think. So if you have any questions, comments, or just want to come and say, hi Dana, I'm interested in what you're doing, please come and talk to me. I'll be happy to have a chat with you. Thanks.